Hi everyone, my name is Luis Alberto Charles and I'm a student of the Bachelor in English Education from UNAT. Today I'm going to talk about processes of word formation, in this case derivation. So let's start with the definition of derivation. It's the addition of a word forming affix. It's called derivation. But to understand this sentence or this definition, we have to know what is an affix. Remember that morphemes are divided in two parts, in roots and affixes. Roots never change, but affixes can change, and they can be in the beginning of the root or at the end of the root. When they are in the beginning, they are called prefixes. And when they are in the end, they are called suffixes. So, what happens when you add an affix to a morph? So, it can happen different things. For example, a phonological change. If you have the word reduce and you add a affix, now it let's see the sample. In this case, reduce and then reduction. You see the stress of the word changes. Before it was in reduce, now it's in reduction. Also, it can happen with an orthographic change to the root. For example, with the word pity that ends in y, now when it changes to pitiful, you see that that letter changes. A semantic change. For example, if you have the word husband and you add this affix dry, it sounds husbandry. But husband and husbandry, it has different semantic concepts. Also, when you add an affix to a morph, it changes the word class, and we will see more about this when we talk about the suffixes. So now let's talk about some characteristics of derivation. First, some of the affixes may come from the English or a foreign language. So, not all the affixes are from the English language. Sometimes it can come from another language. In this case, in English, it is common to see them from French. Uh, is there any rule for this addition of affixes to the morph? Well, it doesn't exist any rule. These attaches can be arbitrary and unpredictable, so it is not a matter of rule but must be stated separately for each rule, as for example in a dictionary. Okay, so let's start with the prefixes derivation. So, prefixes derivation fall into a number of semantic classes in English. That means that when you add a prefix to a morph, it can have different semantic meanings. For example, it, if as you can see on the tape on the chart, you can see the different semantic changes. For example, time, number, place, degree, privation, negation, and size. Let's start with time. If you add the prefix pre and after, now the word changes. For example, in prearrange and aftershock, that means a time in which the word happens. Um, Now number. For example, 3, and multi. If you add multi to national, now it's multinational. It means that it's not only in one nation, but in several nations. Plates, in and inter. In this case, interconnect, interbreed, infill. Degree, super, over, supersensitive, over ancients. It means that it has a deeper degree. Privation, for example, a and un, amoral, apolitical, unlock, anti. Negation, also un and anti are prefixes that you can use to negate the word for saying that way. For example, unafraid, antisocial, antitrust, anti-war, size, micro, microsome, microchip, mini, miniscule, miniband, minimum. So as you can see, the prefixes changes the semantic meaning of the word. Now let's talk about the suffixes functions. Remember that the suffixes, they are at the end of the word. So they have two functions, to change the meaning of the root and to change the part of speech of the root. But also it changes the word class, as we're going to see in the next slide. So for example, there are diminutive suffixes in link, let, I, and I. For example, if you add to the word dad the letter Y, now it changes to daddy. The feminine suffixes are es, it, ris, ein. For example, in actress, it means that the person is a woman. The abstract suffixes sheep, hood. This is very common for nouns when you want to become some words in nouns. But in abstract nouns, for example, you have a friend, and if you add the word sheep, now it changes to friendship. Now, as I said before, the suffixes derivation also changes the word class. And there are four types of suffixes in this case: nominalizer, verbalizer, adjectivalizer, and adverbializer. The first one, nominalizer, means that it can change from a verb to a noun and from an adjective to a noun. Let's see the examples. If you add to the word judge the suffix meant, now it's judgment. If you add to the word work the suffix er, now it changes from work to worker. It was a verb, now it's someone who does the action. From an adjective to a noun, if you add ity, for example, honest, happiness, legality, purity, equality. From equal, that was an adjective, now it changes to a noun. Verbalizer. This means that from adjective and noun it changes to verb. If you add suffixes like if, fy, eze, ate, en. Let's see the samples. Pacifies, simplifies, prioritize, orchestrate, lighten, soften. The adjectivalizers. So this happens when from a noun changes to an adjective. For example, if you have suffixes like y, like ous, full, e, ve, able, full. Let's see the samples. For example, from the word support, if you add IVE, it would be supportive. Now it's an adjective. Or from hope, it was a noun. Now it changes to an adjective with full, hopeful. And finally, the adverbializer. This means that from an adjective or a noun changes to an adverb. And the most common, I would say, is when you add the word ly, because if you add this to some nouns, it changes or adjective, it changes to an adverb. For example, quick. If you add ly, now it's quickly. Terrible. If you add ly, terribly, now it's an adverb. Thank you so much for the attention. I hope you have understood the class. Thank you.